San Jose State has done a phenomenal job of turning things around under Brent Brennan. And you're looking at a team that should contend in Mountain West this year. They should contend for a Mountain West championship. And it's just a matter of getting the job done. The 10 guys they'll talk about today can make that happen. And I think you have a really exciting team that you need to watch in 2023. You're looking at starting with CONLEY, the Utah Tech transfer, adds to a talented offense, one that should feature plenty of talented skill position players. And the running backs are probably the deepest group. And last year, he rushed for over 1,000 yards with Utah Tech, 8 touchdowns. He will be the backup, probably still rotate in this offense that will need some help at wide receiver, but still has plenty of talent returning. And that's what's really exciting about this team is the amount of talent they have coming back, including veteran leadership, makes this team an exciting program to watch just because of the turnaround they had, but also now you're looking at lofty expectations in 2023. Now you flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Jordan Pollard is a linebacker that could make a big impact on this team. Last year, 51 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss. And it's really exciting to see what this defense can do because they lose a couple of key pieces in Cade Hall and Junior Froco up front. That's going to hurt, but I think they have talent behind them that could ease some of those losses, kind of lessen the blow for some of those losses. A guy that's going to join him is BRYUN. You're looking at, I think, honestly, this is a team that should be really talented. And I believe, sorry, it's Brian Parham. 74 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Very talented, very productive defender for this team. And that's just the linebacking group. I think that the secondary will be even more talented than they are. And it's just a matter of finding a defensive line that can help them out. This is a team that went 7-5 last year. And if they're going to take a step forward and compete for a conference championship, the offense has to figure some things out, but they're not as much of a concern. The defensive line, for many reasons, has to get things figured out. They have to be a group that's going to compete and slow down the opposing offense. And part of that was a big reason why they were able to do that last year is because Falco and Hall were so good over the past few years. Now you have to find new players that can step up and take their places. And for the meantime, the linebackers are going to play a huge role in that. Now, we mentioned the secondary before that. Safety Chase Williams is back, and he is not even the most veteran leader of this secondary. That's what's really exciting. He's a talented player who had 2 interceptions last year, someone who's a playmaker deep. Now, you're not going to see him near the line of scrimmage as much. He's a decent tackler, but you're going to see him make more of an impact in the deep coverage. And you're looking at maybe he's going to cover the deep half, deep third. Maybe he covers by himself if it's cover one. I think that this secondary could be one of the better groups in the Mountain West, and that's huge because you look at some of the players that they're going to face, some of the offenses they'll face this year. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of explosive weapons that they need to slow down. It's not going to be easy, but they have the guys that can slow things down. They can get the ball back to their offense. They can make things happen so that they are giving their team more opportunities to score and keeping the other teams off of the scoreboard as well. Now, another player that's going to contribute to that secondary is cornerback Michael Dansby. Two interceptions as well. Again, not a player that is going to be mixing things up in terms of stopping the run, but he is someone who can cover, someone who has all conference potential this year. I think a lot of teams focus on the safety position, and that's for good reason. But a guy like Dansby could have a big year because he is overlooked, and that's going to be huge for this defense. Now, someone who is not overlooked on the offense, Jamie NAVARRO is back after a second team All Mountain West Conference selection by College Football Network, someone who paved the way for this offense to be successful, specifically in the passing game. And that's huge to have him back. This offensive line is honestly the X factor for a team that, again, has big expectations. And when you look at skill positions coming back, it's easy to see why the offensive line would be the X factor. It's easy to see why this team will rely on those skill positions to make plays until the offensive line has figured things out. Now, given what we've seen in the past from a team led by Brent Brennan, you're going to see an offensive line that knows what they're doing. They're going to be able to move the ball. They're going to be able to pave the way for these guys. And that's huge with the players that we're going to talk about in just a second. One of those players is wide receiver Justin Lockhart 578 yards last year, nothing really that's crazy, a breakout year. Averaging 16.1 yards per catch tells me that he is someone who can make big plays, someone who can be a deep threat, someone that's going to open up the field for this offense. And this passing game, we know what they can do. I feel confident in this group and what they can do in 2023. I know that they're going to be able to move the ball through the air. I know that they're going to be just fine. There shouldn't be too many concerns. The question is if they're able to run the football. Now, if the passing attack can't find a go-to guy, Lockhart should be one of those guys. He should be able to contribute. He should be able to open things up for the passing attack. And that's huge. I think that this team can become more balanced offensively when you get guys like KAIREE Robinson more involved as well. 752 yards and 10 touchdowns. Pretty solid, but this isn't a team that appears to be set on running the football as much. Maybe that's going to be different because you have Robinson coming back. You have CONLEY coming in from the transfer portal. You have a couple other guys that are going to mix into that rotation, and that's something that will make this offense even better. It's going to open things up for the passing attack. Getting a good rushing attack helps your passing attack so much more. And guys like Lockhart will see more favorable matchups if you're able to run the football efficiently. Robinson had 4.8 yards per carry. You look at CONLEY at Utah Tech, 5.9. If they're able to get up over that 5 yards per carry, you're looking at an offense that's extremely dangerous to face just because you're averaging nearly half of what you need for a first down every single rush. That's huge. That's huge for the offense as a whole. That's huge for this team as a whole. And I'm really excited to see what that means if they're able to take that step forward. Now, we talked about the secondary and we talked about the safety specifically. Trey Jenkins is back for yet another season for the Spartans, and he is the guy that does a little bit more of everything for this defense. 60 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 5 passes defended, 2 interceptions. He is the do-it-all safety for this team. He has been a leader for this team for the last couple years, and he is back for one more year. He and Chase Williams give them one of the better duos in college football. They are an extremely talented and extremely experienced group, and the secondary is a big reason why I think this defense will be just fine. Obviously, life in the trenches is going to be under the spotlight. It's going to be under some scrutiny until they get those things figured out. It's going to be the guys in the back end that need to step up and make sure that this team is in good hands, is in good shape. And I think that they can do that. I think they have the veteran leadership, even with some of the veterans they lost. They have the leadership, they have the experience, and they have the guys coming back. They're going to make things happen. They're going to help those guys up front, get them up to speed. Now, another guy that should have a big year after having his best season yet is quarterback CHEVAN Cordeiro. Second team All Mountain West selection, completed almost 61% of his passes, over 3,200 yards passing, 23 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. That is a good touchdown to interception ratio. Another thing, 265 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns. That is another factor that I think could have a big impact this year. The rushing attack, again, is going to have a big impact on this team as a whole. But when you look at what we don't really talk about is what Cordeiro can do with his legs, what he can do with his feet. If he's able to open things up for himself because he's able to run the ball, that's huge. Now, he's probably not going to be a guy that's going to burn people, but if he can take some of that attention away from Robinson and CONLEY, you're looking at a offense that can make things happen with the rushing attack. They can be much better as a rushing offense, and that opens things up for the passing attack as well. And that helps Cordeiro by himself. If he's able to run the football, open things up, and make sure that he benefits more, only good things can happen from there. And I think that this San Jose State team needs to take any and every opportunity to improve. And it's not because they're bad, it's because they have a step they need to take, and they can take that step if they're able to do a couple things. And that's really exciting for a Spartans team that at one point was considered one of the worst teams in the Mountain West before Brendan took over, even when he did take over. And now they have a team that is consistently in the middle to the upper part of the Mountain West. And now I think they have a chance to take another step and compete for a Mountain West championship. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I am saying that that's something they should expect. That is something that they should take into consideration. They probably have that written down as an expectation, as a goal for them in 2023. And with the talent they have returning and the steps that they can take to make that happen, I believe that is a realistic expectation for this team this year.